Hello everyone, my name is Matt Murphy and I'm here with John Czakewski.
Hello everyone.
And welcome to the FileCatalyst webinar series. For this edition of the FileCatalyst webinar series, we'll be looking at how our solutions FileCatalyst Direct, FileCatalyst Workflow, and FileCatalyst Central can help boost efficiency and reliability of the workflows in the gaming industry by providing faster, more secure, and more reliable file transfers across your entire organizational workflows. To begin, let's take a look at what FileCatalyst is and some of the key features that help make us stand out in the industry. Mainly, FileCatalyst is known for transferring files at your full-length speed. We accomplish these fast file transfer speeds via our patented, built-in-house UDP-based protocol. This protocol is designed to overcome latency, packet loss, and other forms of speed degradation that may be present during a file transfer. We have also included some features into our protocol that other solutions that are traditional or open source lack, and some of these features include congestion control and automatic resume, as well as many more. We also include industry standard AES encryption into our protocol, making sure all of your sensitive game information remains secure while it's in flight or at rest. And we also integrate with cloud storage providers including Amazon S3, Microsoft's Azure, OpenStack, Wasabi, and many more. Now let's take a look at some common file transfer use cases in the gaming industry and how FileCatalyst can help maximize the efficiency of them. So first we'll take a look at collaboration. When files are being sent around your own office to third-party developers, sound engineers, publishers, level designers, and a host of other people all around the globe, your ability to send files quickly is critical. Whether you're sending a file to your sound engineer in the next office or receiving a new game asset from a designer across the ocean, FileCatalyst Direct is what I like to call the legendary item that should be in your inventory to get the job done. No matter what format or size your content is, or the distance it has to travel, our fast file transfer technology is guaranteed to maximize your bandwidth and send it at speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. Now let's look at synchronization. In many cases, content is updated and backed up on a regular schedule. Maybe it's nightly, weekly, or monthly. Whatever the case may be, all of your team members need to be in the loop and have access to all of the latest content to get the job done. When you need to frequently initiate these recurring transfers manually, there's often room for human error. And beyond human error, there's also extended wait times that can slow development to a halt. FileCatalyst Direct's client application, FileCatalyst Hot Folder, it allows you to create complex scheduling and automation for frequent transfer tasks such as these. Simply set up the hot folders at each point and then set up their sync interval, be it 30 seconds or every night at 9 p.m. or every Friday at noon. Once it's set up, you have a hands-off solution that will guarantee each endpoint is synchronized with every other hot folder, ensuring everyone in your team has the most recent content. And let's take a look at game analytics. The more you know about your player's behavior while you're playing your game, the better you can adjust it to deliver the best game possible. But latency can put hours between the game client sending an event to it being accessible in your database to get insights from. Game companies use FileCatalyst Direct to securely and reliably send this user data to their storage. Be it on-premise, off-premise, cloud, or hybrid storage, we can get it there much quicker. So now let's take a look at some of the issues that affect the TCP protocol in terms of file transfer speed. At the bottom of this slide, you can see an example of a TCP-based transfer in progress. The source file is represented with the orange box on the left, and the destination file is represented on the right. In the center, the orange little rectangle represents a packet of information in transit. When transferring files via TCP, the entire file is broken down into many very small packets of information, and they're sent one by one to the destination, and then it has to wait for an acknowledgement to come back. The problem with TCP is that these packets must be sent along with the acknowledgements in a sequential order, and it must arrive at the destination before the next packet can be sent out. This need for sequential transactions is one of the root causes of this speed degradation, and it only becomes worse when any form of other degradation is found on your internet connection. And when this degradation is present, the TCP protocol reacts to it by limiting the transmission window, and this even further slows transfers by creating even more dead air during a file transfer. And this is a very aggressive approach, and unfortunately, it can't be tuned or adjusted at the application layer. TCP is also a poor choice for transferring files across wireless, satellite, or long-haul links. Gaming organizations are global, with different developers, programmers, and other departments scattered throughout the globe working on different aspects of the game. And long-haul links are a very common way to move these files for those situations. The performance is far less than ideal for these types of use cases. There's sometimes tuning available, but it's still not ideal for many-to-one or one-to-many. And because this is lacking, it makes synchronization tasks much harder than they need to be. On this chart, we have a slide showing how latency affects transfer speeds for TCP and FileCatalyst. And as you can see, as soon as RTT, or round trip time, which is the amount of time it takes for a packet to be sent and its corresponding acknowledgement to be sent back to the sender, anytime that RTT even marginally enters the equation, the TCP's speed, throughput, drastically drops. As soon as you have 1 or 2, as you can see in this chart, that it plummets down and continues to stay low. And you can also see that FileCatalyst maintains its transfer speed even as the RTT increases. Now let's take a look at FileCatalyst's fast file transfer technology and some of the ways we stand out and overcome the aforementioned issues with the TCP protocol. Our solutions are ideal for bulk transfers. So user statistics, finished games, game assets, we have it covered and we can do it much faster than TCP. FileCatalyst is predictable and it can be fine-tuned to an exact rate, allowing you to send files at whatever speed you deem is appropriate for that transfer. And then you can tune it for every other transfer in the future, so you can really fine-tune how each transfer transfers. FileCatalyst's UDP-based protocol is unaffected by latency and packet loss, which, as mentioned before, seriously affects file transfer speeds when using the TCP protocol. And to maximize your transfers throughout your peak periods and downtime, we allow congestion control in the application layer, so you can adjust bandwidth usage on the fly and as you need it. We also let users adjust the aggression of the congestion control, and our solutions can also instantly detect link capacity, so then it can maximize it. The bottom slide here shows FileCatalyst and how our file transfer technology allows you to send more packets of a larger size, which helps go even faster than TCP, and you're not waiting for acknowledgements and that sequence that has to happen with the TCP protocol. Now at this point of the presentation, I'll hand the webinar over to John, and John's going to show you how to use our FileCatalyst bandwidth calculator that you can find on our website, and you can see the link on the slide in front of us. He'll give you a demo of our solutions, FileCatalyst Direct, FileCatalyst Workflow, and FileCatalyst Central, and he will also give you an overview of our licensing options. So without any further ado, here's John.
Thanks, Matt. So we have a little bandwidth calculator here that we've created on our website. If you go to our website, FileCatalyst.com, and you go to Resources, Bandwidth Calculator, we've built this little calculator here to give you an idea of what things look like. So let's go, we'll just pick here sort of a use case between Vancouver and London, and we're going to do here 100 megabit link. Once you click on this, you can see that FileCatalyst transfer speed is a minute 27 seconds. With TCP-based transfer, would take 40 minutes for the same 1 gig file. So the increase in speed is substantial. The further the two network nodes, the better the performance of. You'll see a better performance. So if I, for example, make the long haul distance network a bit smaller, so let's say I'll go to New York to London. You can now see that it's only 13 times faster. So, but you can see still it's a considerable improvement in speed and bandwidth saturation. Things get much more interesting also once you go over satellite vessel. So if I pick the satellite vessel to New York, and I'll drop the speed here to, let's say, 20 megabits, you can see that the speed now is 24 times faster because it's 20 megabit link. And really, the calculations used here is the delay, 638 millisecond delay for a satellite connectivity. So it's the round trip time of the packet to arrive from one place to another. And Another thing that is one thing that is calculated here for you is the packet loss. So average packet loss on the internet, I think, is 0.6%, and that's what I think we put on our calculations. Of course, once you go into satellite microwave links, that drastically increases and gives you a different speed. So feel free to try this calculator. You have lots of options here, and to see the difference performance within the speed. So FileCatalyst offers, we have a product portfolio. We have 3 products that help with file transfers. We have the FileCatalyst Direct product, Central, and Workflow. Today's presentation is going to be concentrating predominantly on Direct and Central. We're not going to touch much on Workflow, but I'll just give you a quick review here of what product is. So Direct is our main core product. This is our core technology for transferring files. The deployment of FileCatalyst servers usually in your central location where you wish your data to be centrally managed and reside. And then you have some kind of an internet connectivity. Once again, it just has to be an IP link. And then you have different client applications that can connect and either push the data to your storage or pull the data from the storage. All these client applications are bidirectional, so you can do uploads and downloads. So what do we have here? We have a hot folder for automated tasks, for folder synchronization, for scheduling tasks. So hot folder can wake up at 1 a.m., check for new file sets, and push them to your FileCatalyst server. Or vice versa. It could be waking up at 3 a.m., checking for new files here and pulling them down. And then you can control all the other aspects of the transfer, like how much bandwidth, what file sets, filtering, all that stuff. I'll get into that during my demo. Desktop app is pretty much like a FileZilla app. It's a 2 panes. You have a left pane that shows you your local files, and the right pane shows you the remote files, and then you just drag and drop files between them. Pretty much similar like FileZilla or Fetch or many other FTP clients out there. Browser-based, the browser integration, it gives the end user ability to upload files directly to FileCatalyst Direct server to a specific folder, or also to initiate links. And that's the ability to send email links to recipients. So recipient just clicks on the link, gets brought to a download page where the files that were uploaded to them are available for them to pick up and download. Mobile, if you go to Google Play or iTunes, you'll find our application, and you can install it on your mobile device, and you're off to the races to transfer data from mobile device. SDK is everything that is automated. So everything that is API or like no end user intervention type of thing. So here you have our command line tool, you have our Java API, our C++, .NET, REST. All of that is kind of bundled with the SDK, and then you can initiate calls through an API. Of course, most popular these days is doing REST, but we do have C++ and Java if that's required. Central is our visibility layer or management layer of the product. So imagine now you have a FileCatalyst server deployed in your central office. You might have 15, 20 different watch folders coming in from around the world, from different drilling sites. And now you need to have a visibility and reporting and management layer. So you log into Central, and then you can see your nodes, you can see existing transfers, reports, raise alarms if something doesn't work. So that's all built into Central. As well, it allows you to connect to any of the node and change configuration on the fly without needing to have remote desktop access or without having necessarily access to the box. Workflow, this is the product. I'm not going to talk too much in this space, but Workflow is a web portal. Imagine it's a web-based file transfer portal where you can combine files with metadata, or like you can prompt the user to enter certain information before they start an upload. They could be specifying due dates, they could be selecting drop downs, or they could be doing checkboxes, and depending on the selection from that form, the files will lend in exactly the location you need on the server that you need for that specific process. There's also a whole feedback notification process to the submitter. So if someone submits 4 files and describes them, then they can be kept in the loop when these files are processed and created. The other part is that the workflow can also send email links. You get some much more advanced features here with than FileCatalyst link and direct, where you can password protect the downloads. You can have two-factor authentication for the downloads via links, and gives you more customized options for these transfers. Last option in workflow, it allows you to create web folders, sharing of web folders, which can be connected also to hot folder or API, and then users can share data sets and upload and download with a full history. So this is more of a web portal with automation. I will not be doing a demo of this today, but I'm sure there's other webinars. If you go to our website, you can download a webinar for a workflow if you're interested in this piece. Finally, the big change to in ITD over the last several years was ability to create object stores and storing data for either archival processing, or if you're buying an additional computing power on the cloud, then everything is going to be dropped into an object store. We integrate with Azure, Backblaze, Wasabi, S3, Google platform. So if you need to move data to a cloud storage, this is object store. This is where it's this will be very useful. We also work with a number of private cloud solution providers like Caringo, Cloudian, SwiftStack, where you want to create your own S3 private S3 object store and send data there for archival or processing. So FileCatalyst Direct Server can integrate with all these platforms. Let's do a demo here of. So I'm going to be showing you the FileCatalyst Direct demo. I'm going to be talking about the server piece here. So this is the server piece that you can create your users. You can create your users, and you can transfer files. Once that user is created, they can either upload or download files to the server. So some of the features here you might be interested in is you have the ability to create SFTP keys. You have ability to lock accounts or create an accounts that are temporary, like work only for 3-4 days and then stop working. And also you have the forced file ownership on files on both Windows and Linux. So when the user uploads these files, the files will land as a specific user on the system. This is very useful in supercomputing applications where you need to track where the content came from and who was the owner or the originator. Some other thing you can define which user can upload or download or modify files. You have also the ability to create users and groups. So what that means is that, for example, you have 4 users that need to share same data set. Well, you could point them all to the same home directory, which is complicated. Or what you can create is you can go to our virtual folder list and make a number of these virtual folders or even files. And this is a completely different path on the system. And then all these users, you can decide which user can upload, download to that directory, and delete files and so on. So this is really good for sharing or collaboration on big data sets for multiple users. You can create as many of these virtual folders and assign them to specific users. You can group these folders into a group. So let's say you could have an R&D group. So as soon as a user is created, you assign them to R&D group, and they get right away access to all the R&D collaboration folders. Another thing for user management on the direct server is that you can authenticate against LDAP and Active Directory. So you can manage centrally your users. If you need to remove users, you work through your Active Directory or LDAP interface to manage who gets access to FileCatalyst server. FileCatalyst server is also acts as an FTP server, SFTP server, and FTPS server. So for those that end users that cannot, for example, install our software, they can still use tools like FileZilla or their existing FTP API to upload files. There will be no acceleration, but they'll have access to the entire workflow, including the reporting, the management of users, the virtual folders, and all that stuff is still created for them. So this is something that is also built into the server. For security, everything is secured of AES and SSL. We have as well IP filtering, where you can whitelist or blacklist the IPs for more secure information. You have remote administration of the server, so if you want to the server is installed far and you need to log in and make changes, you can. Last feature I wanted to talk about direct is that there is the link feature here. So this allows you to select certain files on the server and share those files via email with somebody else. And link allows you to, bundle a whole bunch of files together, give it a link ID over here, and then email this link ID to a user so the user can pick up these files. So the way you get to this interface is that this is your link interface. You can see all the transactions that have been sent. But if you want to get to the interface, you just click on HTTP settings here, and you go to the web root of FileCatalyst. So each FileCatalyst server comes with a web root or web server already built in that has many applications already deployed on it that are ready for you to use. So when you click on the web root, you can go to Manage or Transfer Files. In this case, I'm going to go to Transfer Files. And here you have different applications that are built into the web to the FileCatalyst server to transfer files over the web. One of them is right here. It's called Link. So if I click on Email Link, this launches the link interface. As you can see, it launches the requires FileCatalyst transfer agent, which you can just see here. It blinked very quickly, and now the user is ready to send files. The reason I wasn't prompted for install is that right before I started the demo, I already logged in. So normally you would get prompted for username and password, but because I'm already logged in, this little key here remembers my credentials, so I just get in right away to the right place. So at this moment, all I have to do is enter my recipient, enter my subject, and here are some files. I can specify whether I want to have expiry of this package. So do I want to have single use? That means as soon as the recipient has downloaded the files, the link is inactive. I can have default date, so this is the dates recommended by the system, or I can put a custom date that has to be before the default date. And this is, once again, the admin decides what expiry dates to set. Single use is limited to only one recipient, but default date will work for multiple recipients. So here I entered my recipient, I put my subject message, when the link expires, and now I can go here and browse and select files to upload. So let's say I'll go to a directory here, select a couple of my files, and you can see files right away start uploading, and I hit send. So this is really what's happening on the link side. So now you're uploading the files to the server. The server will store them in a specific folder called FC Outbox, and this link gets generated and emailed. So let me show you how this looks. So let me just show you how this looks on the. Let me just close this here. There we go. Let me show you how this looks on the email side, and then you can see on the recipient. So now we're going to flip hats here, and now we're going to become the recipient of these files. So here's that message that came in, and you can see here's the email So this email, once again, what you can control here as the administrator is the logo, really. So this logo here, you can upload your own company logo. This logo will also appear on the web interface when the user clicks on the link to download the files. So if I click over here, I get, so the same logo here will appear as in the email, and now I'm the recipient. So as the recipient, what can I do here? Well, as the recipient, I can select which file I want to download. I can add them to my download queue, and I can click on download selected files. Or I can click on download all, and then it downloads everything. So this is downloading all the files, and now my transmission is complete. So the application gives you here a little open download location, which will make your Windows Explorer, or on Mac your Windows Finder, and you can see they just end up in downloads, the files that were sent. If the end user chooses to change the target directory where the files are to be saved, they can do this in the transfer agent, and they can go to open the transfer agent configuration, and they can change here the download path. So the download path automatically will go to downloads like all the applications, but you can overwrite that and change it to point it to another place if you want to save the files in some other location. So this is really the link side of things. I'm now gonna switch and talk to you about the hot folder application here. So this hot folder application is the automated client that allows to transfer push data or pull data from the server. So, on the server side, I just mentioned here, you can do local paths or you can do UNC paths. So you can do paths like / server, share name, share name, and create home directories or virtual files or folders on Samba shares, for example. So let's switch now to hot folder. The hot folder application is you can create a site. The site will allow you to, there will be a FileCatalyst server. You can create your folder. So now here I have two. I have one for uploads, one for downloads, and then I create a task in my scheduler. So here I already have an upload task. I can decide which site, which hot folder, decide the direction, and then you can set the schedule. So is it going to run once a day, every hour, every minute? You can configure this. You have also the ability to do always on with file system events. If you enable this, then hot folder will register with file system events. And if you, let's say, have a directory of 5 million files, we don't have to traverse it to figure out what to transfer. We'll just listen to the changes of the file system events. So this is good for backup or archival. For connection, you can do you can specify the aggression, so how much you want us to push FileCatalyst server. You want to push away the TCP traffic. So the goal is to always make TCP traffic slower, but still allow it through. And this is what this congestion control does. We have two types of congestion control. One is RTT, one is loss-based. And RTT is ideal for wireless connectivity, so like LTE satellite. So if you're transferring files from a vessel, you probably want to do it RTT based. Otherwise, you can do it loss based for landlines. Transfer, you can do an MD5 checksum. So after a transfer, we'll do an MD5 verification. You can force, again, file ownership on the system. So once you're downloading, let's say you want to have a specific user owning the files after they land, you can do that. And you can also do a multi-client. So multi-client is ability to have multiple worker connections. So let's say you have a folder of 100 files. You set this to, let's say, 2. So it'll be 2 files in flight at any given time. This further optimizes the transfers. It gets things going faster. Instead of doing one at a time, you can enable this. The nice part is that this allows you to also rescan for files while the task is running. So let's say you have a task set up to run once a day, and while the transfer is going, there's another file dropped. the multi-client will detect that new file and transfer it, and not leave it for the next scheduled transfer. So we can prioritize transfers. We have ability to do rsync or deltas. We call this file deltas, where if you transfer version 1 of a file, and then there's a version 2 that instead of resending the entire file, you can compute the difference and transfer just the difference for the next version of the file. You have compression built in. Once again, the compression is only zip or LMZA. That compression is really good for log files, SQL files, databases. It doesn't work very well for already compressed files like video or an existing zip or gzip files. So you have exclude here. You can exclude those compressed files and include it into include only the extensions that are good for compression. Another nice part is here you have something called single archive. So let's say if you want to move 1,000 smaller files, like I don't know, 1 meg files, you can lump it into an archive and transfer that archive and then automatically unzip it. So the process of zipping, unzipping, and bundling is all behind the scenes. You will just see a file transfer going. And sometimes we call this zip chunking, sometimes it's called single archive transfers, but this is really useful for those cases where you're sending, let's say, hundreds or millions of small files and you want to zip chunk it together. Dynamic, this allows you to send growing files. This works really good for video. When you have a video file that is growing, we can chase kind of the end of the file and transfer it as it arrives on the disk. So this gives you that ability. File sets. So keep in mind that here I only have one task, but you could have a lot of tasks. You could have task for small files, a task for big files, a task for files ending with specific extension or specific file name. So you can specify here exactly the file sets you need to send, and you have also the synchronization option. So if you want to do replication, wide area network file replication, you can enable these settings. And post tasks, well, that will be, you can move files to a folder, do nothing, delete the files. You could call a URL to, let's say, update if you have a CRM that needs to be updated, like Salesforce, to tell it that, oh yeah, I finished this transfer. All of this integration is built in, as well as you have email alerts. So that's pretty much the hot folder and the server, just in a quick nutshell. Wanted to go through Central. So if I log in here to Central, so imagine this is a visibility management layer on top of FileCatalyst Direct Server. So in this case here, I have my FileCatalyst server. I have my 2 nodes created, and I can see exactly what's transferring and when, and I can pull reports from specific transfers, as well as see any alerts. Like here I have, for example, an alert. Shows you that if there's a problem. You can load up multiple maps, and you can make these layouts yourself. So for example, here's one, but here I also made this one. Different background. So I put the same nodes, but you have multiple nodes. You could have hundreds or even hundreds of nodes defined here, and then you decide which node goes which map, and you can have multiple of these map objects. So it's very easy once you're doing operations. You need to figure out what went wrong and where. You can very easily see it visually here. I'm gonna just go to my hot folder, and I'm gonna start a transfer. So once I start a transfer here in the hot folder, you can actually see what's being transferred, which file. It will give me the ETA for the whole transfer. So this one is, for example, 17 minutes. And now in Central here, this link lights up and shows me what's being transferred on this link. I can go to transfers here and see also current transfers. And I can see this. If I want to go to history, I can search for files, that end, for example, in PDF, and will show me all the PDF transmissions. The reporting, you can set up reporting for the entire system or specific nodes. You can also group the nodes together. So when you edit the map here, I could group, for example, I'll edit this map here. I can group the map together. So I can add an organizer here. Clients, add organizers, and now I can group these two together. So now I can have a specific report just for the client's part and not the server part. That will show me this. So now I can, if I want to do a report by selection, I can select the organizer, and that will show me just the transfer for that one piece of data. Last thing in Central you can do is you can do remote administration of nodes. So for example, if I need to administer the server sitting in New York City here, I can click on Connect to Node, and this gives me a web-based interface, very similar to the one I showed you before on the server here, but this runs in a GUI, but this one is web-based and gives you full information which users. You can see monitoring and can see the transfers coming in, and you can follow the transfers through here. You can add users, change the user's location. You can manage the system basically through Central. Same applies to if I connect, for example, the transfer agent, which is it's not an automated client. It's a client that can transfer specific files. I can connect to this specific transfer agent, and now I can browse the data on the left, which are my files residing on that specific system, and I can connect to any specific server on this side and fire up a transfer. So if I go here, for example, and I want to move some files, I can browse, select the data I want to move, and upload. And now you will actually see that this transfer agent now is moving files from the server. So I can do this. Now all of this can be done. Central has a complete REST API. So everything I show you here can be done programmatically via REST. So this becomes a very powerful tool when you need to move data on your corporate network from different locations. You can programmatically create tasks that move certain folders to certain places, and then you can manage it all through Central. The last piece is the administration of alarms. So the alarms can be either done through email. So if there's an error, you can send an email that happened, or you can do SNMP. So if you have any enterprise network management console or something like Splunk that is managing your network, you can connect to it, and then you can raise alarms in those consoles, and it will show you the errors you have. Well over 30 different errors you can capture, and as you're capturing them, you can notify the right person that something went wrong. So that's essentially Central. As I mentioned, workflow I'm going to skip right now. So to finish things off, what are the licensing options? So we have one option is the perpetual license. So you can buy a license. It's for life. You own it. There's an optional support and maintenance for 20%. It gives you access to our support. It gives you access to all the upgrades and all the versions. And then it's an annual support of 20%. And this is good for, you know, exactly how much money it's going to cost you. There's no data caps, no metering. Everything is you know exactly what the solution is going to cost and what it's going to do, and the speeds. The support and maintenance for perpetual licensing is included for year one, and then optional. It's unmetered, as I mentioned, so there's no additional cost for moving data. Basically, you can move as much data as there's hours in a day. It's based on the specific bandwidth and concurrency needs you have. So if you how many concurrent transfers you need to do and the bandwidth, the pricing is based on that. And you have options on a la carte where you can buy every specific little feature, or you can buy an all-inclusive that gives you a package of pretty much all the functionality and concurrent connections that you need. The other option is consumption. This is for if you have specific project. Let's say you have to migrate data from site A to site B, and you know that there's 1 terabyte of data, and you're going to need that for a month to migrate the data. You can then go on a consumption based. There's no upfront cost. Basically, you get everything for free, and then you just pay you get a metered license, and the cost starts at 35 cents per gig and drops as you transfer more data. Like once you get to the terabyte, I think you're down to like 2 or 3 cents a gig. But you have a cost, and then this is connected to your credit card, and you pay as the transfer goes. But here, this is perfect for temporary project or when you know how much data you're going to be transferring, and there's no cost of entry. A cloud marketplace. So as I mentioned, we're integrated with a number of cloud vendors, AWS, Azure, Google, where you can fire up an instance of FileCatalyst, and then you just pay per hour. Per hour cost starts as little as $2 per hour and scales up based on the size of the instance. So the bigger the instance, the idea is that the bigger the instance, the faster you'll be able to send, and therefore the cost will be a bit higher. You have also the options to bring your own license, so you could actually license something based on a perpetual unmetered license and apply that license on the cloud and use that server on the cloud and not pay then the per hourly costs. But this is perfect for, again, data migration or projects where you, again, know you're going to be using it for a few days and then shut it down. The last option that we're launching soon will be FileCatalyst Spaces. That will give you the ability to, will provide you everything. Will provide you the infrastructure, the networking, the storage. It's a turnkey solution. You just pay a monthly fee, and you get, per additional user, you pay about $10. You pay $10 per user per month. You can add hot folder automation to it. You can add API integration, and then you pay, a penny per gig per month for storage, and you pay 6 cents per gig transferred. Of course, if you're connecting to your own existing on-premise perpetual license, then this fee is waived because you're already on that license. So this is probably going to be coming out in December this year for as a software as a service, and it's going to be called FileCatalyst Spaces. So for those that are listening in and are not on the live webinar, I want to at this point say thank you.